he wants to take out Bly here in Ukraine, you better bring your A game.
We're starting off with a very high-level game here. We're in the Group Stage 2. Group Stage 1 has been running on the community streams all morning, and we are in Game 1. Ladies and gentlemen, the bottom right here of Kings Cove, the Polish Terran from Team Makers. This is Soul. Can I get a spin from the Observer?
I don't know.
I don't think so.
Not listening.
No.
Indy is like Maynard.
Like,
you think I'm spinning? Do I look like Mapu to you?
Does he get enough money per hour for this kind of introduction? I don't think he does. Oh, hang on. He's on the spinny buttons. In the top left, here from Wendigo Gaming, the hometown favorite, it is Ukraine's Bly.
Of course, we've got a lot of Ukrainian players in this event once again. Unfortunately for Cass, he dropped out in the very first group stage, but he does still have that knockout bracket to fall back on. But there's a lot of other guys, maybe some players that are not that well known, like the Lisandro or a Ghost Hell or something. But there really are a lot of fun Ukrainian good players here. I think Giros is one of the youngest players in this tournament. He's only 16 years old. Bly, of course, is a veteran, guys. And if you talk about online StarCraft, Maynard, these two, they play a lot of tournaments, and this obviously means that they've run into each other a couple of times, didn't they?
They did. We're actually just checking out their stats, and it was insane. Like we had to do a double check just to make sure it was right, but they were 102 and 101 in maps.
That's
with
ridiculous.
Bly just having like one more map extra.
Yeah,
really close in series as well as you'd kind of expect, but you know, the guys really nailed it on the desk. These two are like a clash of styles, where Bly is generally the aggressive, weird guy that's hard to predict, whereas Soul is generally a pretty stock standard Terran player that likes to do very meta builds and let his mechanics and his game plan go for him. And we're actually showing off here some brand new technology for WCS Summer. The Toby eye tracker kicking on in, and we're seeing exactly what Soul is checking out. You guys might remember this actually from WESG, from Cyril versus Innovation Grand Final.
We spotted those proxies not once but twice, Maynard.
Yeah,
I never forgot.
I saw the circle go over the proxies twice. Definitely saw that.
Did he see it? Like, yeah, I absolutely saw it. It's actually kind of cool to see a little bit of early game here from Soul's perspective.
Yeah.
Obviously, you want to make sure that nothing weird is happening. He's keeping a very close eye on the mirror. He's like, oh my god, it's blue, it's Bly. But never mind, it's an Overlord this time. Obviously, guys, you want to make damn sure here as a Terran player that you don't miss 6 Zerglings running into your natural, which is something that Bly would be capable of doing, but he's not doing it so far this game.
Yeah, you'll notice with that eye tracker that especially in the early game, a lot of the pros will be looking at the minimap very, very often. Like I've already mentioned, you got to see if there's something running past, early couple Zerglings or something like that. Soul hasn't actually scouted just yet. And then later in the game, they really like to look at their resources a bit more. So you'll see that eye dart up into the top right of the map to see, you know, what's my supply like, what's my money like, what can I afford, when do I need to drop more production. Seeing a pretty greedy opening here from Soul, third base, nice and fast up there in the main base. Bly trying to avoid the Reaper successfully so far.
The link timing here doesn't make any sense, but because it doesn't make any sense, it actually makes so much sense.
That's how it works.
Yeah, StarCraft 2 is a really funny game, guys. Now, obviously, there is a Marine here, so Soul should be able to buy a little bit of time. And this command center is already done. I'm not exactly sure what Bly is hoping here for. Maybe like an SCV or two. But I think if you get no SCVs here, I'm not sure if this is ever worth it.
And Soul's actually dropping the door on purpose here, so the Lings are in. And this is deliberate from Soul. He wants to come in, the Lings to come in and deal with his units to try and avoid SCV damage. But he is still taking a bit of SCV damage here, so it didn't actually work out for him very well. Those Hellions just popping out now.
Yeah, I think he was a bit distracted, probably controlling his Reaper on the other side of the map. Soul, wake up, my friend. I mean, you've been losing a little too much here. And Maynard, something that we didn't even mention, but it's normally a pretty big deal, is that Bly just completely scouted the opening of Soul. He had Lings inside of the main base. He saw the command center being built. That's pretty massive.
Yeah, so Bly with a very strong start here. The Reaper coming up and actually just attacking this third hatchery. It's darted into the main base, got a bit of a scout. They're sort of just chilling. And Soul doesn't seem to be caring too much about that Reaper. It's joining up with that Hellion, well, the couple Hellions from earlier, so a pretty deadly force, but there's no drones for them. So they're just kind of just here, not really achieving a whole lot.
There are 14 Zerglings on the production tab. They are ready to spawn. They could potentially set up a surround for these Hellions, or they could just ignore them and try to do the same thing one more time, because Soul didn't really respect the initial 4 Zerglings. So Bly's like, well, let's see what happens if I send 14. See if you send your Hellions home for those.
Yeah, I think Bly's just going to avoid the Hellions completely and just attack into a natural. Depends on how many Hellions are here in the natural for Soul. It seems like he's got a good read on what Bly might try and do here. That's a pretty good defensive force for a Ling run by from Soul. And he is going to go into Bio here with Stim on the way on that barracks. Extra couple barracks is going down for that 3 barracks, 1 factory, 1 starport production.
Yeah, I think that Bly actually he's got to be pretty pleased with this game so far, right? Even though he's got a couple of Overlords on the way, maybe a few too many for the perfect smooth macro option, but I think that Bly has a better read on this game so far than Soul has, even though those Hellions are still at home. So maybe he's worried about something, but I don't really like games like this. We're going to take another look at the Toby eye tracker one more time. What is Soul looking at this phase in the game? And just saturating his gases, going all over the place. But he's going to send those two Hellions back. This is the first time that he's going to send all Hellions out, and this is when those Zerglings will most likely show up. Is he going to see
there
it?
They are.
Yeah, but a little bit too late. And that is a very, very unfortunate mistake by Soul, and very fortunate for Black.
Yeah, and he gets into the main again here. So we're going to pick up a few units. The SCV pool obviously does make this a little bit easier, but the main thing here is that not only the Lings getting damaged, they're going for a scout, and they're keeping the Hellions at home. These Hellions getting pulled way back off the map. No pressure on the Zerg whatsoever. Bly is free and clear. The top left of the map has barely been touched.
Yeah, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. Only 3 SCVs. I was worried that he was going to lose 8 to 10 and maybe a little bit more mining time. But you make a very, very valid point that Soul is just not able to get anything done on the other side of the map. And this is often the case when a Terran player does decide to open up with 3 CCs, the way that Soul did. But Maynard, I'm going to channel my best Ukrainian here. But still, it would be nice to get something done eventually. Get a few drones, deny the creep a little bit. So far, it really feels that Bly is having all the freedom in the world. And Soul's like, well, I just don't want to die, and if I don't die, maybe eventually I got a very strong army. But I'm missing a real game plan, right? A plan to win so far coming out of Soul.
That's generally how Soul is he has a build order that he wants to sort of follow to the letter. And if this gets upset, that's when he usually starts to fall to pieces. But he's very, very, very good mechanically. One of the highest level Terrans. I think he hit 7K at one point. It was a while back, but that's a good indication of how consistent he can be. Bly actually delaying Carapace by quite a bit there. He must have just been on one Evo for a while. It seems like a very long delay on that Carapace. So Baneling's been made from Bly, and I mean, Soul does have a couple depots in the wall in, so you can potentially bust this down, but it is a little bit tough with that few Banelings.
The E-base are potentially a very, very juicy target down the line. Obviously, this is not going to be enough. We'll see what Soul gets done here with his Marines. Maybe a cancel on the fourth base would be nice. At least he scouts it with the SCV, so now he also knows that the Hellions are here.
Yeah, this is a good scout here from Soul. Bly went up the ramp with those Banelings and went, oh, there's actually a little bit too much Terran infrastructure to bust through here. So Soul actually deflects, and he's got those Marines at the front line. That's definitely enough Zerg units to take care of this, though.
Bly has got a lot of money and a lot of gas in the bank. I'm not really feeling it. You know what I'd really love to see here from Bly? Another hatchery.
Or
so
a
many
Spire or
clubs.
something.
Yep. I mean, anything, right, to get that money really going. He's got a couple of additional Overlords on the way, but Bly double expand, so in case he would ever lose his fort, he will still have that 5th, right? That's something that so many Zerg players do. And if you are sitting on 1,000, 1,200 minerals, you may as well. There we do have that Spire, but I'm with you, Maynard. That Spire could have been a lot quicker.
Certainly. I mean, there would be Mutalisks out by now, and a pretty convincing number as well to be able to at least deal with these medevacs. Catching a few of these Banelings on the outskirts there, so nice little trades there for Soul. He's going to set up the edge of that creep and start pushing the Zerg creep back and hopefully get in range of that 3rd. This hatchery, unfortunately, is being placed right in front of the Terran army, so that might be delayed as well. This is enough Marines with upgrades to actually really be annoying for the Zerg, especially with that tank.
I like the positioning here by Soul. There are quite a few Banelings, but there are no Banelings flanking. A couple of Marines getting picked up, maybe sent towards the main base as well. Bly is still very, very consistent with his counterattack zone. He once again gets on top of these SCVs and is going to be able to grab a few here, but the Marines seem to be winning this fight here with a little bit of medevac support. Soul in the main base can maybe get some real sick damage done.
This is actually really nice from Soul. He's also tank pushing the 3rd at the moment while also dropping the main, so damage happening in 2 places at once, and Bly, he's actually got all these units attacking here. They're not defending at all, so he's taking a lot of damage back at home. He does have some units back, but I don't know if it's enough.
Well, they always say that you should never base trade a Terran, Maynard. I mean, that tank on the high ground is obviously never going to go down against these Lings. The Marines should be able to win the fight, even though that tank is doing some friendly fire. But how much damage is Soul doing on the other side of the map? And since Bly is already floating money, I'm afraid that he's only going to float more, because these kind of things, all the Queens are helping out. They're not injecting right now, Maynard.
No. And these tanks are in range of that hatchery. That hatchery's going to go down, I think, Roddy. There is just, I mean, he can transfuse the hatchery and delay it, but it's the inevitable, right? So it just goes down. And Bly, with all these Lings, really wants to get on top of these tanks. There's so many Marines covering here for Soul. Oh, this might just be enough Lings. No, Bly is rethinking it. He's just not confident enough to dig the Terran out of this position.
I can also understand that you're kind of hesitant in taking a game-deciding fight when you've got 2,000 minerals in the bank and like 1,200 gas. He does just make 9 Mutalisks right now, so he finally spent a little bit of that bank. But because once again, all the Queens are forced to help out in defending, he's not injecting anymore, and Bly's macro is just not on point this game. Soul, even though he had to deal with counterattacks, and he was like obviously multitasking quite a bit, and he was focusing on multiple sides of the map, Soul was on top of spending his money, where Bly simply was not.
And Soul has quite a bit of a gas bank, but you can see he's actually like pulled workers out of gas there at that 3rd base, and it's very common for Terran at this point in the game when you're going for just bio tank to have that many that much of a gas bank. But look at that, just Soul picking off some Banelings up, Bly realizing it. He's also bleeding off some Banelings, not really sending all of his units into attack, so a little bit of like not hold position, no move command there from the Zerg. And Soul's just going to pull back, happy with the damage that he's done, and he's certainly got himself a wonderful position here.
Yeah, this was definitely good enough. Muta's going to try to chase down these Medivacs, but Soul is on top of that as well.
With the Lings, you can do it.
Yeah, with a couple of Lings and Banes. Let's see what the tanks are going to fire at, because if the tanks get a decent shot off in the middle of that Baneling pack, that could actually still be quite naughty. But look how hard it is for Bly to clean this up. So I feel like this should have happened like 2 minutes ago. He should have just A-clicked with all those Lings and Banes if he would have spent his money. Now the tank's on siege, so in the end, the Medivac with the 2 tanks does go down. 8 Marines may be able to get out of here, but guys, this is not the real army anymore of Soul. The only thing though, Maynard, that Bly has going for himself is that if he buys a little bit more time, he can finally spend that bank that he's been building up for the majority of this game, and he will have perhaps a few more units than Soul is expecting him to have.
I'm just really worried for Bly. Without that 4th base for such a long time, the 3rd also being killed, his gas income's really been lacking, and he doesn't have tier 3 on the way here. He's a tier 2 Zerg with a lot of money in the bank and not much gas in the bank. And when you're tier 2 Zerg, it feels like you want to have like a lot more army supply. Your upgrades want to be a little bit better. You want to be doing damage with your Mutalisks rather than picking off Medivacs on your side of the map. And his drone count also felt a little bit low. That's being dealt with now, but he's been in the 60s for a while as well.
Yeah, often we see Zerg players being at the 80s, right? Like when I watch Lambo play a style similar to this, it's always 82. It's just like Ling Bane, and obviously Lambo will maybe go high a little bit quicker. We do see that infestation pit going down right now, so the Ukrainian Zerg does have a plan. But he's going to have to survive potentially a very scary army of Soul in the near future. Drilling Claws as well.
Nice on Burrow Macro here.
It's my favorite upgrade, Maynard. Widowmine's so exciting.
It can be. As a Terran player myself, it's one of my favorite units. Great comeback.
I think we have a drop as well in the natural of Bly. Can we take a look at that? Is that a Widowmine drop? Yes, it is.
A mixture of Marines and also Bio and Widowmines. 6 drones going down. Nice little bit of damage there for Soul. Bly actually pulling back from the attack as well. He does have those burrowed Banelings, as we saw earlier, so he could potentially get a nice cluster there, but it's a bit of a weird position there. I'm not sure if he's going to catch too much bio.
I would like to see Soul get a little more aggressive soon. No, my goodness, it's so close. No.
Yes!
Oh my god, I got shivers.
That would have been a good one.
Ah, mate, that would have been a really good one. That would have stopped Soul from pushing, and that could actually allow HiveTech to finish up. Obviously, Bly still knows that they're there. If he pushes his army back further, man, that's so funny. Widowmines and Banelings right next to each other. Do you think they see each other on the ground, Maynard?
I don't think so. I don't think that's how underground works, Roddy. I don't think you get to see the thing next to you when you're underground.
I think that's how it should work.
If
we're both in a swimming pool together, I can see you, even if you're on the water.
That's water, mate. That's not dirt and soil.
Hey, you don't know what this planet is made of. How many times
I don't want to have a scientific debate. This is the first game of the first best of 3 of the day. We're having scientific debates on stream. I like the inclusion of investors here for Bly, by the way.
Yep.
Really does make dealing with this kind of bio composition a lot easier if you can lock it down and then hit it with the Banelings. A big certain run by here as well. There's a planetary, unfortunately, for Bly, so attacking that with the Lings is a little bit rough. He's splitting them up. Soul doesn't have a ton of units here in the 3rd base, so he could get some SCV damage.
Soul doesn't have a wall off here. That's what I'm most surprised by. I mean, I know that he's been rallying units kind of through this, so I guess maybe he just feels like he's always going to have some units here, and the reinforcements will always show up there, but it's a tiny bit odd not to have a wall up there at all, because it could make his life a little bit easier. We do have a drop at 9 o'clock, doing a little bit of damage. I love how there is still a Widowmine in the natural of Bly as well.
Yeah.
Been sitting there forever. It's just out of range of anything.
Just out of range. It's got 3 kills, so it's already kind of paid for itself. The Queen's left a little exposed here. The creep getting a little bit far back here for Bly, actually. Soul doing a great job of pushing it back every time he moves out with his scans. He's a little deep right now, even though he's pre-splitting. I'm a little worried about this engagement, and Bly with a nice counterattack here, going to stop that CC from getting dropped down. A good Baneling connection as well. That looked like 5 or 6 dead Marines.
Uh-oh, and he's going to run back. Don't forget about the burrowed Banelings. We still have that. This is a phenomenal counterattack by Bly. This time getting a lot of SCVs, forcing the entire army back. There are some burrowed Banelings here. Soul just avoids them.
Geez, Soul is really threading the needle here on these burrowed Banelings. And the Mutalist catching a Thor exposed, but they eat some Widowmines to the face there, and it's mainly damage. A lot of them are still alive, so they will regenerate. These Lings getting so much damage, 23 plus dead SCVs.
Why does he not have a wall off here?
Why is he killing these Lings?
I know that he's rallying all of his units past this, so this is kind of like his point, and now at least he knows there is burrow if he didn't know that before. So hopefully that will alert Soul of the fact that he's going to be very, very careful about these burrowed Banelings. Man, I really think that Bly did an awesome job in dragging this game out, because at one point things looked very, very dire and dicey for him. But these counterattacks non-stop throughout the game, and hey, eventually he really got some good value out of them. And now you look at the production tab, Maynard. 4 Ultras and 3 upgrades are on the way. If you would have told me this 5 minutes ago, I wouldn't have believed you. I'm like, I don't think he's going to make it that far.
Oh, he certainly earned himself a pretty good spot here in this game. Bly with some great counterattacks, great damage. And with the Ultras hitting the field, it is going to be a little bit rough for Soul. But, you know, he has already been producing Marauders and Liberators as well for quite a bit. Specifically the Liberators. He's got a good number of Marauders in his army. So the Ultra Ling Bane unit comp is like it's doable for Soul. So it's not over on either side of the map just yet.
Soul's still doing a slightly better job in spending the money than Bly is, but hey, Bly is getting the greatest Spire. He's got that Ultra-less Cavern out, so he's building those expensive Ultras. Could potentially get a few more Infestors as well, but I think we still have 3 of them. This army did move forward though, and that's a pretty scary force, but I think on creep, you got to be very, very careful here if you're Soul. Even with those Liberators, on creep, Maynard.
He's getting Infestors and Ultra Kills here.
What?
That's a, whoa, okay, that's not the right button, I don't think.
What's that?
Yeah, I think he might have maybe F2 burrowed or something, but that was just unfortunate. He's got a bit of damage on that army, but it might not matter because Bly's has got so many units, and he crushes this Terran army on creep, pushes it way back, and the Liberator's going to go down the Needles as well. Soul getting cleaned up on the map here. He does still have an army to reinforce.
There's a couple of good Widowmine shots there in the end as well. One more Fungal does connect with one of these Liberators, so he's going to get those as well. During all of this, did we get some more economic damage? I mean, Soul did take care of that base at 9 o'clock. That one is completely gone. I think we still had a couple of Marines here and there being annoying. I mean, 61 drones. Bly kind of out of minerals at this point. I mean, yeah, Bly won that fight, but did he really though, Maynard?
That was a weird APM graph right there. It's a 1200 APM to 0. That's a lot of changelings.
That was one hell of an engagement. I've never seen an army running. It's like, yeah, I'm almost there. Let's just burrow everything. And then like we disengage, like, never mind, I should go again, right? Like,
I mean, almost certainly a mistake there. the changelings coming forward towards Soul is like a bowl of Marines that he forgot about. Actually, yeah, the Widowmine's going to kill a lot of them. It's so funny. The YOLO Liberator right on the hatchery. This is what you do in the late game. Yep. Very nice stuff from Soul. He's only hitting one place at the time, though. He's got his little army here just try and deal with
He's coming in the natural as well, Maynard. He's hitting from the north,
right.
He's hitting from the west. He's in multiple locations at once. He's going to get one of these queens. The middle one, okay, the Widowmine doesn't exist anymore, which makes me kind of sad. But I'm starting to get very, very worried for Bly again. I liked his like late mid-game, so to speak, because the run-bys did a phenomenal job, and he was finally getting up to a very powerful, scary army. But then he had a pretty terrible engagement. That economy, that's not what a Zerg economy is supposed to look like, Maynard.
Not really. I mean, Bly thankfully does have these spellcaster units, so he can still take an engagement here and there. But Soul's getting to that really scary point. Maxed out Terran, 3/3 upgrades, ship upgrades on the way as well. Liberator count, Marauder count's really high. I mean, the only thing that's missing here for Soul is a Ghost Academy to be able to get some of those, you know, those tier 3 Terran units out, get his own spellcasters out in the field. Because it's about that time where Bly wants to be hitting Broodlord o'clock, you know. He's got the Corruptors on the way, he's had the Greatest Spire for a while, and that really feels like the strongest unit to add to his composition, considering what Soul's gone for, which is just a very big ground army.
The only thing I'm a tiny bit worried about here is Bly goes Broodlords, is that his army becomes very, very slow. And he's already kind of running out of bases, right? So he really needs kind of a fast mobile army to defend multiple locations. Because this is not the kind of Zerg. He makes 17 drones now. That's very ambitious. We do have some Burrowed Banelings here. Those would be good hits, mate.
Those are all the Marines. That's actually the perfect time. There we go. All right. We did it.
Wait, there was a missile turret. The missile turret did it. That was not Bly. That was the missile turret. This is a proper first game of a WCS event, Maynard. I love it.
Good stuff. A double parasitic bomb here on these medevacs. They do get killed and they do get knocked back, and Bly is on the front doorstep here of the Polish Terran. It is a planetary. It's about to finish up, so Bly does pull back, and I think that's smart here. Just reset those losses, regenerate some health, regenerate some units. 8 more Corruptors on the way. Surely it's Broodlord time. He just doesn't have that many minerals still.
Harassing somewhere? Yes, on the left side. Once again, Soul did a really good job in being annoying about this base. This base never really gave any return of investment to Bly, and it definitely costed him quite a bit. At the same time, we do have a Widowmine drop once again, and especially with the Marines here in the mix as well. This is very nice. I love it, because you're creating 2 problems with 1 drop, right? It's not just the Marines here that you have to worry about. You also have to worry about bringing in Overseer. He gets all of the drones in his base, so all 17 drones that Bly just made, they're gone again. He's like, well, this time I'll make 24, Maynard. But that still really hurts. Well done by Soul.
Yeah, I mean, his mineral bank, though. It's that part of the game where Zerg wants to be on like 3,000 or 4,000 minerals at least. Maxed out, pushing the Terran back and spreading that creep and dealing with those drops. Widowmine, again, getting another couple drones. He's going to keep killing drones until Bly gets some detection over here. And this is just, I mean, this is the part of the game where I get really worried for Bly, and that's specifically the late game, because of the Terran that he's up against. Soul is one of the strongest late game Terrans I've ever seen from Europe, you know, especially against Zerg in the latest stage of the game. His ghost control, his nuke harassment, his control of that super late game army. And speaking of nukes, 3 more Ghost Academies getting dropped here. So Soul has definitely got some in the cards for Bly here.
Yeah, and every hatchery is burning already as well, right? It just doesn't feel like a very solid and stable Zerg. kind of feels like a wonky Zerg. Like, yeah, Bly did finally get up to 80 drones again, and he does still have an army, and it's never going to be easy for Soul to just take the engagement on creep. And slowly but steady, more and more of the map is getting consumed by the Zerg, but you still gotta love the way that Soul has played this over the last 4 or 5 minutes. And I mean, Bly is good in staying alive, and he does actually have good upgrades, right? Like, let's not forget that he got those 3-3 upgrades a long time ago. He's got Adrenal Glands, he's got Kindness Plating. So Bly has most of what he could ever want for. But if you're asking me, how is Bly gonna attack off creep? I have no idea against all these ghosts, Maynard.
Yeah, I mean, Soul's not only good with those, with the harassment in the late game, but he's also very good defensively. He's really good at setting up those really abusable, like dug-in trenches of Terran structures where you just have like planetaries, turrets everywhere, and having a great SimCity defensively. You can already see in the minimap, there's so many Terran structures all pressed up against each other. A lot of them are planetaries. And he is getting a hatchery kill as well. That hatchery...
I know, this one on 9 o'clock keeps getting sniped over and over and over again. So I think Bly is doing a very smart thing right now and just taking the right top side of the map, because he seems to be doing slightly better in defending those bases, despite the drone losses that we saw. But that hatchery at 9 o'clock, it's just not going to be a thing, Bly. I think you just got to accept that it's not a thing.
Yeah, he caught the Terran drops here. He does lose quite a few banelings, and there was some investor energy there as well, but thankfully those things do still have 14 damage on them, and they're taking down those airships.
I think even 12 would have done the job.
Even 12 would have done it.
A couple of Widowmines in the mix as well. Multiple nukes being dropped now as well, and this is going to be tricky. Bly should be aware that this is a very saturated base, and it's always a likely target.
But these nukes were dropped at almost the exact same time, so sometimes you're going to miss out, and Bly is definitely going to take a hit here. Oh, 26 drones just like that. He does clean up this hatchery, so we saw the dot there, but Soul timed those nukes out perfectly.
Yep. I mean, he's remaking 29 drones. I love how Soul dropped the scan just in case. He's like, I got all of them, right? Yes, you did, Soul. You got all of them. Well done. That was quite a decent nuke. We're going to get a few more of these as well. More Vikings on the way now. I mean, both players seem to be very, very content with letting this game go for a very long time.
007 over here still finding some more damage. Big snipes there, Dead Ultras. Nice pick up there for Soul. And he's starting to get really scary here, Roddy. I was really, really worried for Bly's ability to engage this army. He doesn't have tons of Infestor energy either.
And look at all those Liberators. Those Liberators almost feel untouchable, right? How many Corruptors do we currently have out on the field? I feel like we barely have any. We have no Corruptors at all. How is he supposed to get on top of these Liberators? Yeah, infested Terrans, maybe? Slowly but steady, but you cannot go through that choke point. That's just impossible.
Another nuke here for Soul. Liberators hitting in several places at once as well, while pushing forward on the creep. Soul is in 4 places at once here.
Yeah, you gotta love it. Soul's actually really good late game. You said it as well. Bly is gonna try to counterattack a little bit, but he's losing so many drones left, right, and center there. Liberators arresting mineral lines as well, even taking care of the majority of the larva, as the observer is showing us as well. Maynard, let's play the guessing game real quick. How many drones has Soul killed this game?
80. Oh, I was gonna say 80.
Oh my goodness.
Andy, you meant to let us guess first, mate. I could have sounded really smart just now, and I just lost that ability.
Yep. Just took it away. Now, next time I'm going to ask Maynard, he's going to be like 12, and it's going to be like 37. You know, you make him look bad. Well done, Indy.
It's early days yet. We've got plenty of time to look foolish, Roddy.
True. I mean, hey, we've got 3 days.
Yeah, that's right. So the Ghost managed to sneak on in. Of course, there is a Spore Crawler there, so he cancels that nuke, tries to escape the vision, but does die. And these are actually things that Soul can afford, because he has the kind of bank that a Zerg would want at this point of the game. And he's just using these small amounts of bio to find damage. This hatchery dies for the 50th time?
Yes, I think
51st?
I think you're spot on there, actually. Absolutely no exaggeration. Bly still has an army, guys. And let's take a look. I'm going to take a look at the eye tracker of Bly. What is Bly looking at? Basically looking at everything all over the place. I love how he just looked at his own gas. He's not just face, guys, I promise. He's got a different one. He's probably looking at his own groups. There's a lot of the mini-map. And he's playing fast, but I don't know. What do you think Bly's game plan is here? Is he hoping that Soul just overextends and creep, that it takes a terrible fight?
I think so, yeah. Trying to get a juicy fungal on the Ghost as well. That's the best way to deal with the Ghost here. Really, his only way to deal with the Ghost. It's just the EMP there. Does still have plenty of energy on the Infestors. It's a bit of a weird siege up on that Liberator, but it is going to catch those drones on the retreat there. Advanced Ballistics helping out. And that's going to park it right on that hatchery. I love the YOLO Liberators in the late game. You just find those hatcheries in the minimap and just click right on them with your Liberators. And that's a high ground nuke right here. Hello, mates.
It's going to be kind of hard to find as well.
Yeah.
Oh, a couple of very good snipes as well on these Vipers. So the spellcasters that Bly so desperately needs to win a fight, they get sniped from far away. I mean, we have a little bit of a link counterattack.
Oh, no. The Spore Crawler should borrow time, right? Tell me he doesn't land this nuke.
I don't think he's going to land the nuke. I don't think there is a nuke anymore now.
Oh, nice fungals here. Vikings and Ghosts getting picked off. That's definitely things that Bly needs to kill here. It's a lot of Vikings. The Corruptor count not super convincing here. The air army of the Terran is quite scary, actually. Looks like he might have lost quite a few Ghosts. That Ghost on a casual 23 kills.
We're definitely over 100 drone kills by now, right?
Has to be. Oh,
95.
just
Oh my goodness. So close.
at least Indy Less gave us time to guess.
I love how almost 500 links went down as well. I mean, I love the counterattacks early game by Bly, and I loved him in the middle of the game as well, when he was clearly struggling a little bit and spending his money. I think that this was kind of a sloppy game by Bly at first. Same, of course, can be said about Soul, but I do really like the way that Soul has played this over the last 5 to 10 minutes. I think he's been looking absolutely on point. And Bly maybe feeling a little bit of that pressure, even though this is only group stage 2, guys. This is a pretty tough group, because this group is completed by Ziggy and Clem. And I think especially Clem. I mean, Clem is not a free win for anybody in this tournament. And Ziggy definitely has his builds. He's scary. He's dangerous. So this is a match that does absolutely matter. And obviously, Bly probably puts quite a bit of pressure on his own shoulders. He wants to do well here in Ukraine. And
he's a very passionate, very very emotional player, for good and for bad. Nukes in a couple plots here at once. This is the strongest cliff for Terran, I feel like, in this matchup, is to have that little high ground there with tanks or ghosts or whatever you want, and one of these nukes is going to land. There we go. And he just queues it up again, just denying mining here from that base, basically. And you know what? One of the most demoralizing things for a Zerg in the late game is when the Terran has the audacity to kill their SCVs, like just throw your SCVs at you, because they're maxed, and you know they're maxed, and they're just going to get bigger and bigger with those stronger units later on in the game. The Ling counterattacks from Bly, I mean, trying to get damage done, and he is technically getting damage done, but the army of Soul is just getting more and more complex, more ghosts, more liberators. He's throwing out some Marines, though, because dealing with Lings is actually quite tough, strangely enough, with this unit comp.
Yeah, I mean, these are very feisty Lings, right? They've got all the upgrades. These are 3-3 Zerglings with Adreno glands as well. Liberators could obviously help out a little bit. I think it's so interesting the way that Soul played this, where he decided to never wall off his third base, basically, and only got the big wall off in the natural.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, like, yeah, it sort of worked out. I can see where he's going with it. As his command center is going to go down, so that's a nice little pick-off for Bly. But Soul has quite a bit of money in the bank. He did lose quite a bit of his gas income, as we've got another nuke landing in the middle of all of these drones. Now we're definitely over 100, Maynard. Actually going down as well, that's massive.
These weapons of mass destruction really putting in the hurt on Bly. So many liberators as well, and the corrupt account, while it technically exists, just isn't able to stand in the air army of Soul.
I want to ask you about the sensor towers. Take a look at the minimap. Doesn't it feel like a little toddler put down all these sensor towers? It's like, circle, circle, circle.
I kind of see what you mean, yeah.
It's like, I want to have all the circles next to each other on the minimap. That's way nice.
Maybe he really likes the Olympics. He's trying to draw the Olympic rings.
Yeah, I know. He's missing one of them,
missing
I guess.
one, but you did say a child's story.
Slightly too much overlap, I'd say. Like, yeah, there's a little bit of overlap in those Olympic rings, but I don't think there's too much of it.
Depot just blocking off this link from the natural, but this third is run by City because of that wall or lack thereof.
Yeah, I mean,
but,
once upon a time we had 3 depots, but they've only gone for a little while.
Oh man, I just think that the longer this game goes, the harder it's actually getting for Bly to win the game. I mean, yeah, he's trying to take these hatcheries, but Soul is not letting him get past this half of the map without losing units.
We're looking at 6 Banglings right now, Maynard. I mean, Zerglings are not going to win this game. We know it. Lings are actually not that great against Ghosts, because Ghosts are very tanky units, and then on top of that, you've got Medivacs often above them as well. Ghosts have pretty good DPS, so the Lings are just really not going to make the difference anymore. In general, you really want to get that sweet combination of a nice Fungal Grove and then a couple of Banglings to connect with the nukes, but unless Soul lets him, Maynard, that's 28 goals, my friend. 28.
Yep. That's why I said I was getting worried for Bly, because I saw all those Ghosts when the Lings run by. I'm like, geez, that's a lot.
Yep.
Take that, Extractors.
I always love it when the Extractors don't mind out going down. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, you take that.
Can you retake them? You can, right?
Yeah, of course. You can build on the geyser as long as you want. You just won't be able to mine out of it.
This hatchery.
Not happening, mate.
Where have we seen that part of this game before, mate? I feel like
I think it was from minute 6 to
I was about
minute
to say,
29.
there are certain things that keep happening in this game. The Lings going up this ramp, then they run towards the south side, and they get a few more SCVs, and then we get the girls, and then, okay, a couple of the Lings go in the main base instead, whatever. But there are certain things that just keep on happening. I feel like I'm watching a movie where people are like trying to troll us. It's like, take a look at this GIF, and it's actually like a repeating GIF, you know? We're actually
it's a looped GIF.
Yep.
Always impressed with people that can do that. Shout out to Borstein. We got the Zerg army just on that creep spread, and it's really not able to get a whole lot further. Like, spreading creep is not really a thing that Bly's been able to do for a while. I feel like his queens have been killed a long time ago.
How many queens do we have left? Like, 1. Okay.
1, yeah.
All right.
Yeah, she is. What up, baby?
And she's putting in the hours, by the way, Maynard. She's
get in there, lady.
The hours.
Let's do it. Need to get that creep spread back.
Yeah, I want to get that base at 9 o'clock. That seems like a great idea.
It's like, oh, my back hurts so bad. My feet are so tired.
Queen is working OT in the very first game of the tournament.
She needs some sisters. Got to help her out. But I mean, Bly can't even afford queens, man. That's the sad fact here for Bly, is he's had a really bad economy for quite a while in this game. And while 43 drones is never really good, and Terran's on the same amount of workers, Terran still has a bank. He doesn't need those workers, whereas the Zerg absolutely does.
We're gonna get another nuke.
It's gonna be a good one.
Yep. Actually, the Spine should be able to deny it. I mean, Sport
no, I think the nuke still lands.
Oh my god, it takes forever to land the Spine. Up.
And blue.
That's 11 more drones going down the drain. Only 32 drones remain. We are going to get a couple of infested Terrans here, so maybe Bly's finally just had enough of this game and he's going to do his best here to make some magic happen. But the ghost count, Maynard, is so incredibly high. Do we even have any fighters? Yeah, we have 2 fighters apparently. Well, that's about it, Maney.
And these fumbles from Bly, well, he's gotten some juicy ones earlier, hasn't been able to get any juicy ones since. Ghost coming forward, gets an EMP there on some of those infestors. Some of them still have energy, but a lot of them do not, and that means that they are about as useless as, so was it one-legged man in an ass-kicking competition? It's about where those infestors are at.
I don't want to go there, but we do have a couple of Bly units taking out this base as well, and slowly but steady, guys, just seems like Bly is running out of steam here, and maybe he's been out of steam for a little while. Where I said in the very beginning of the game, it felt that Soul didn't have much of a plan, like it wasn't really relying on timings. Maybe Soul only had one plan in this game all along, that's like, let's not die. And as long as I don't die and I slowly but steady take another base, I'm going to be fine here. The longer the game goes, the better it will be for me against Bly. And maybe he was spot on, Maynard, because for the last 10-12 minutes, I just don't know what Bly is doing. Like, I don't see it really going anywhere. He clearly doesn't have the economy, he doesn't really have the map control anymore. Even when he had a lot of vision, I feel like he still took quite a bit of damage from nukes and drops. And I mean, Soul's is kind of running circles around him right now.
She's worked so hard.
Oh my god, was that a mass snipe?
Yes.
How do you do that?
You get refunded energy though.
Rapid fire?
Yeah. Yep. I still never use rapid fire. I gotta get onto that someday. It seems so good.
It is very good, but I don't use it out of principle. I'm an old man. I like clicking buttons, Maynard.
Well, you know what? If you don't use it, then I won't use it.
I will never use it.
Because I want to be like you.
I think the beauty of RTS is clicking buttons. Not clicking one button and seeing the same action being repeated 15 times.
Fair enough.
Call me old-fashioned. That's just the way I like it, Maynard.
Well, Bly sees that command center where he's tried to take a hatchery so many times. And he'll be damned if the Terran takes this base.
I will never look at this base the same way again after this game.
I'm going to call it the Bly 4th base. That's what I'm going to call it. Or the Bly 5th.
Whatever it was.
Yeah.
I feel like Soul was very close to ending this game when he was taking out the initial 4th, right? Or the 3rd, actually, and he cancelled the 5th base as well. Then he went for a little drop in the main base. I kind of thought that the game was going to end there because Bly had so much money in the bank. And like, often people will look at games like this and they're like, alright guys, so what should Bly do right now to defeat this Terran army? Well, I mean, it becomes very complicated at this point, guys, because Bly has been losing for the last 12 to 15 minutes. And unless he lands at Miraculous Fungal and lands a couple of Baneling connections, it's just not going to happen. But let's not focus too much on what's happening here right now on our screen. Let's go back to that phase in the game where Zerg is supposed to dominate and really do some good damage. And he was sitting on like 1700 minerals, 1200 gas, having his Spire just way too late, having that 5th base way too late. Bly just kind of messed up in the macro department this game, and that is what allowed Soul to take control of this game in the first place.
I absolutely agree with you there. And I like that he's just breaking off clusters of Marauders and Marines from earlier to just pick off hatcheries. And he's been doing it all game long. There's got to be like a dozen dead hatcheries in this game. Indy? 13.
Yeah, actually, more than a dozen.
There you go. Off by 1.
Well done, mate.
I wasn't kidding. I'm a serious guy. Serious business.
Starcraft is a very serious game as well, Maynard.
That's right.
There is that command center on the left side that's being attacked. I don't really know what Soul is waiting for. I'd love to see Soul get a tiny bit more aggressive in the middle of the map. Maybe use some of these Liberators to go forward and really start taking control of it. To do it. I mean, like Marauders and Marines are never going to win the game. But those 22 goals, they absolutely will. Soul can make a few more if he wants to, because he's sitting on 7.5k minerals. But maybe he's also looking and he's like, you know what? In the past, Soul has struggled in tournaments, so maybe he feels like I'm just going to enjoy every single minute of my stage time right here, right now. And I'm going to make sure that I feel as close to home as possible. And hey, he's definitely getting max value out of this game, Maynard.
Double nuke, baby. Boom. Boom.
Another one?
Actually kill that hatchery. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was 2. You can actually kill the hatchery with the ghosts there.
Maybe he dropped them on the exact same time. That's possible as well.
Maybe. Rapid fire.
Once again. Don't even get the same satisfaction out of your nukes with that bottom Maynard. Never give in.
I mean, we've had 006 in this game, 007, we've had Sam Baker, we've had Metal Gear's, Solid Snake. All kinds of secret agents getting the job done here for the Terran, doing so much damage to the Zerg. And Bly just, I haven't actually seen a game plan for him. Like, we're kind of like a broken record over here, but I just haven't seen a game plan for him in this game yet. That Spore Crawler Forest doesn't really exist. His army is getting smaller and smaller. His bank's getting smaller and smaller.
Feels like he's on a deserted island as well, because like the map keeps swallowing up his creep. So he's like, oh no, do I still have like, I'm losing land by the second. You know, Kingscope is a very dangerous place for Zerg apparently. But I'm with you guys, I mean, or with you Maynard, and probably with everybody else in the stream as well. Like, Bly, you gotta give us something eventually, buddy. Like, I understand it's a tournament and you want to make the best of it, but I think he just really wants to get one more base up and running. But he has to know that, like, sitting on one base forever, while he knows that Sol has taken control of the entire center and bottom of the map.
In the minimap, though, I did see that Bly did clear out the command center from the Bly 9 o'clock base.
So that's the one thing. That's the one battle he won't lose. He's like, you two got my hatch, I'm going to take out yours. That ghost could potentially pick up the last few drones. Those drones are very important for Bly.
Yeah, I mean, the Overseer is almost protected it there. Some snipes going down as well. Bly hasn't dealt with his ghost. That's a massive blunder. Oh, man. Yeah, his economy doesn't exist anymore. 14 drones, less than 100 minerals in the bank, less than 600 mineral income per minute here. It's just not a situation the Zerg needs to be in, and this is getting less and less winnable for the Zerg as time goes forward, and it was already pretty far from winnable.
2 banelings. How are you going to kill 19 gulls with only 2 banelings? I mean, maybe one thing you can hope for is the best fungals ever, and then maybe Neuroparasite, one of the ghosts, and then EMP, the other ghost. I mean, I know, guys, I know I'm throwing a curveball over here, but hey, you got to do something. It just seems slowly but steady. Just instead of like, yeah, okay, you know, I still have a fighting chance, that there is no more fighting chance here for Bly. And that's where things become a little bit sad, because we're looking at an almost invincible Terran army. Maybe this is finally it.
This is it.
We do have some very, very good EMPs on top of all of these infestors. And yeah, Parasitic Bomb will do damage, guys. But these gulls should always reign supreme.
And keep in mind that every unit killed here for the Zerg is not going to be replenished, whereas for the Terran, it's a different story. Plenty of money in the bank to be able to do all of it, and he's getting snipes on so many Corruptors here. The Vipers, the Infestors even are all dying. There's Bio over here that can't be dealt with because the entire army of Bly is dealing with that high-tech Tier 3 Terran army. So he's losing all these hatcheries back at home, and he didn't actually kill the Terran's army, which is just being replenished right now.
A lot of goals did go down there to Bly's defense. I mean, he went from 22 goals to only 7 at this point. But obviously, Bly is losing all of his production facilities. I love how the Vipers are giving the heads up to him more. It's like, hey, you want to do the hive together, man? Like, you know, I believe the Terran is the winning side in this map. So let's just work on that hive together. We've got another nuke as well, guys, on the right top side of this map. And Bly, oh Bly. I love a fighting spirit, but Bly, once again, truly, I think, living up to that European fantasy timing that we know him for. He truly is a European fantasy, isn't he?
Yeah, he never says die. Like the ghosts.
Wow, that Marauder is hidden behind the hive.
It's got 7 kills.
Yep.
They're probably all structures.
That's very funny.
Yeah, and I mean, we saw the ghost count get knocked down to 7. It's back up to 17, Roddy. And there is just still a massive army here for the Terran. It's not been on screen yet, but there it is. Here it comes. The Vikings coming up forward. The mass snipes! Boom, 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 boom. So many dead Zerg units.
No more Infestors. We still have 3 Vipers, but that is about it. All of these Corruptors will go down, and finally, Sol will clinch victory in game number 1. Only the first game of this best of 3, guys, after 39 minutes of, well, magnificent TVZ on Kingscope, mainly.
Yeah, and respect to Bly, like, I'm sure a lot of people are like, oh, why isn't he just GG already? It's as on stage at WCS Summer, mate. You're going to make every single second count. And he was just hoping for a mess up there from Sol. Any kind of blunder where he can get a massive fungal, there is there is a situation, there is a scenario where he does actually take a great fight. But Sol, too good to throw that game away.
Yeah, I like the way that Sol played it, even though in the beginning of the game I was a bit confused. But hey, maybe Sol's only approach to all of this was, let's not die. My only plan here is let's not die. If I get 4 bases, I'll most likely get 5. And if I get 5 bases, I can make all the Liberators and the Ghosts that I want to. And I think I'm going to be okay. And Sol's multitasking, I know this was such a long, dragged-out game that like it didn't maybe feel like it shined that much. But Sol does actually have very good multitasking in those crucial phases of the game where, you know, every drone still matters, every SCV still matters. He's really good at getting some Liberator harassed in, maybe a drop in the main base and then pushing with the main army. We didn't see that much of it, but we do know that he has those skills. Yeah,
if it goes to the late game, then I actually get worried for whichever Zerg he's up against, even if it was Cyril in the late game. Yeah. Like, Sol's late game is actually incredibly good. So he's TVZ with the when you know, I even mentioned it before the ghost getting made, before the nukes getting made, that he's just so good at that constant nuke harassment part of the late game TVZ, the positional stuff, the slowly just chipping away at the Zerg and just bleeding them out slowly over time. That's how Soul likes to play. That's his comfort zone right there.
And I know that Bly is capable of playing late game, guys, but I don't think that Bly shines. I don't think he excels at the late game. I want to see some of that crazy mid-game aggression from Bly. I'm not talking about like the uninspiring 3-minute nighters all-ins and stuff like that, because Bly is a great player and he can do so much more than the 3, 4, 5-minute all-ins. But I'd love to see some of his multitasking in that mid-game, you know, just like get up to a good drone count and start attacking and never stop. Be relentless. That's when you're Bly. That's when you're all over the place. But a Bly that's sitting back going into Infestors and Broodlords and stuff like that, I'm not really feeling it, especially not against Soul.
Yeah, definitely not. Well, we've got Soul with one map on the board after 39 minutes of TVZ action on Kings Cove. It's usually a pretty good map for Terran and TVZ, though. You know, it's there are lots of attack paths so the Zerg can get their run-bys and that happening. But once it gets to split map, the Terran has a lot of ledges to abuse. You know, that high ground above where the Zerg usually has their 5th or 6th hatchery on the very, very north of the map is really, really hard to deal with. The cliffs in general, hard to deal with. The ghost nuke harassment, plenty of cliffs to hide on. We'll see what the next map is here for the players and get to talk about it since. So we didn't actually get the map pick bans for this series, I don't think, or at least I didn't get to see them.
No, but I'm expecting maybe something along the lines of a new Repuck.
New Repugnancy, yeah.
Or Kairos. I think one of the two. That's my guess. You know, I've been watching a little bit of the YD stream as well. Once again, guys, we have a lot of community streams here on day one. And they're all broadcasting awesome games. And don't forget, this will go on even in Group Stage 3. So, you know, we don't always only show Sero, of course, guys. Because on the first day of the tournament, we want to give the limelight to some of the other players in this tournament as well. But hey, if you keep a close eye on these community streams like Wardy or the one of Zombie Grub, there's always a good chance that you see a random Sero game in there. Yeah. And right now, I've actually been watching a little bit of Utermo against Denver. While that was going on, Utermo won that series. Then there was another brand new best of 3 of Australia and sort of. I watched that one as well. And now actually there is a Utermo versus Hellraiser game going on. So I'm definitely getting my daily amount of Starcraft fix over here, Maynard.
Yeah, we actually have the Wardy stream open at the desk. We've got the main stream open as well. Looks like the game has begun, by the way. Or maybe Soul's warming up. Looks like it's actually going to be New Repug.
Yeah.
All right, good guess.
My first guess was right.
And the bottom left here, currently down the series, this is Wendigo's Bly.
This is just the opening match of this group, guys. We are in the second group phase of the tournament so far, but this group is completed by Ziggy and Clam, so it's definitely pretty important to win your first series, because none of those guys are easy wins. In the right top side, we're looking at the main base of the Polish Terran. It is Soul.
Representing Makers, so many strong players. Still got to see Showtime and talk to him a little bit. And of course, a lot of Showtime fans and just Makers fans out there are a little bit worried about the guy's shoulder. But he still managed to qualify, still managed to get himself here to the tournament. And he's feeling like, you know, he's still feeling a bit of discomfort, but still getting a little bit more happier with his level of play. You know, Showtime was very upset for a while about where it's at. I completely respect that. Like to have basically your livelihood, you know, start to look a little bit rough when you get those injuries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I saw him bench press this morning, like 240 kilograms. He's like, yeah, shoulder still hurts a little bit. Normally I do 280. I'm like, you know what, Showtime, I respect that. You know? Take 40 kilograms off. Still pretty impressive to me. He's like, we'll see how we do today.
Normally I can crush the human skull in 20 seconds, but this morning when I practiced on a guy in the street, it was 45.
The problem is with 240, often I push it through the ceiling because it's so light. These things happen, guys. This is all part of a Starcraft tournament for us. We'll see. What Soul, I would love to see Soul finally have a great run in this tournament. The boys at the desk were already talking about it a little bit, but Soul is better than he's performing in most tournaments. This is the way it is. We keep saying it, and we've said it so many times that by now I understand if people at home are like, can you guys stop talking about Soul and how he's so much better, you know, than what he shows in tournaments?
But he is.
Yeah, he is, though. And it's like, but it's hard to tell the people that over and over again if he keeps having very surprising defeats. And even earlier today, I think he dropped a map against, like, Brain Lobby. And I'm like, who is that? And, like, nobody really knew who that was. But that's your Soul for you. But at the same time, that same Soul can level up and can suddenly defeat a Bly in the next series. And maybe even win this group if he gets a good TVT victory over either Ziggy or Clam. And then, hey, Soul finally is in the top 32 at least, or the initial top 32, right? Group stage 3. And then maybe the sky is the limit. Because it is time, Maynard, that this young man from Poland finally gets a top 8 or a top 16 at least under his belt. And no more early exits.
That's why I'm usually, that's why I would kind of favor Bly in the series, because it seems like a very good counter pick to someone like Sol. These maps to people that you wouldn't expect him to lose to are usually when someone plays a little bit weird and a little bit unorthodox. Sol is a very meta player. He expects or prefers his opponents to do things that he can react to, because if people do what he predicts, he's very, very hard to stop. I mean, we got to the late game start. For the Zerg in the super late game, there's not really a whole lot of other choices other than going to Ultra, Broodlord, and a lot of Spore Crawlers and try and hold back on creep, and that's exactly what Sol knows to play against. But if it's the early to mid game and you're doing weird things like your run-bys, Nidus Worms, you're doing cheeky roach tactics, that sort of thing, then all of a sudden he has his games plan messed with, and he finds it hard to recover. Yeah,
he doesn't always adjust very well. We've had a couple of very funny conversations with Sol in the past where I think Ben the Muslim told me this story. I forgot what it was exactly, but it's basically like, hey man, like they're gonna do a proxy gate, so don't go one gate fast expand on the low ground. Just do it on high ground. He's like, really? It's like, so if I see a proxy gate, you don't think I should expand? And Ben is like, what? You're one of the best Terrans in Europe. Why are you asking me these kind of questions? So he's like, I don't know. I would just still go with the regular build to see how it goes. Like, no, mate, just build your commands in the main base. He's like, oh.
And that sounds like pure Sol to me.
Yeah.
He's a machine, but with a machine that's hard to reprogram.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, we'll see where he takes this game. These Lings were pretty annoying, and they got 2 SCV kills, but this time Sol is not going for that very quick 3 commands hit for opening. Bly has been making quite a few Lings. We know that Bly is relentless with his run-bys in general. He's one of the more annoying Zergs out there, but Bly often doesn't do it in a way kind of hurts his economy, so he's putting a little bit of his own economy on the line, trying to get that damage done on the other side of the map.
Back in the first player cam here. I'm actually really loving this. I wanted to see it in action, but now that we get to see it, an interface made just for this, and we're seeing Bly, he's not only the eyes, but the minimap that he keeps glancing at here. We can see his plan. Once again, the Ling run-by attempt. He does see Hellions on the natural, so it looks like he's going to put the Lings behind the minerals at third base and wait for those Hellions, which he's seeing with these Overlords, until the Vikings kill them, of course. Just seeing if that natural opens up or when the Hellions move out, so we can go for another one of those run-bys, which actually got him so much damage in the early game in game number 1.
There's a few more Lings popping out now. He's finally going to take control of that Reaper. He's moving a couple of the Lings there. I think he's confident that the Hellions have moved away. Maybe he just wants to get a cancel on this command center, but nope, all of these Hellions are still there, so that plan did not work out. And this is what I mean. He made a lot of these Lings quite early on, and this may not seem like a significant investment, guys, but it actually does really slow the Zerg down quite a bit. And that's why you often see Serral running around with like 4 Zerglings and the rest of it is Queens. And if he needs more, he will make them then. But a lot of the Zergs, they make these Lings a little bit earlier, but now he really didn't get anything out of it. And suddenly all of these Hellions are going to be very hard to deal with. This is a very ballsy engagement by Bly. It's sort of working out because at least I think he got 2 Hellions so far.
Yeah, he had us surround there for a little while, and the Hellions, I mean, if it wasn't for just sheer numbers, he would have actually gotten cleaned up there, but thankfully for Sol, he just has so many Hellions that just tanked the Zerglings straight up.
That was very
nice. Evo Chamber block there, making the Hellions come down the south, so they have to eat these Queen shots, but the drones are also dealing with a lot of barbecued meat here.
Oh, there's a Liberator.
Man, they're tucked on top of each other.
The Liberator in natural as well, and that means that all of these other drones were still lined up. 14 workers going down, and the economic advantage that the Bly did have after making those first Lings, I mean, that's gone again. He's going to have to remake all of these drones. Don't forget, during all of this, the Queens are just chasing around. They're trying to defend. They're not injecting these hatcheries. I think that Sol is very, very pleased with how that went.
I feel like Bly wanted to go for Lingbane Muter again in this game. Like, he just got all of his gases, or tried to get all of his gases. It's not really, it's a bit of a pipe dream for him right now. He's taken so much damage. And Sol has that third base as part of his wall in. He's got 1-1 on the way for his Terran units. The engineering base tucked away very safely over here to the right.
It was such a cool move with the drone morphing into the Evo chamber, but the problem is there were no additional Zerglings. After he lost the Lings in the middle of the map, there were no more Lings. So it's like, okay, cool, you're really forcing these Hellions to go around. They're eating a couple Queen shots. Now what? All your drones are actually stuck there, and that's what allowed the Hellions to get those 10-12 kills. A little bit of a run by here, but Sol is more than ready to deal with it. It's floating over this orbital command at this point. I mean, obviously, if Bly makes it through the next 2 minutes of this game without taking any drone losses and maybe get a good fight somewhere with some Banes, I mean, Baneling speed is on the way, this game is still very winnable. It's still very doable. It's still early on, but most Terran players will look at this and be like, yeah, sign me up. I'll take this phase, or I'll take this scenario.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely a good spot here for the Terran. He's got to drop down here to the north. He's got a Liberator to the south, and the Vikings gotten 4 kills on Overlords already, looking at a number 5. That's quite a few Overlord kills for one Viking. This hatchery's also in a lot of trouble, but Bly's army is not anywhere to be seen.
Does Bly have an army?
That's also another good question. 27 Lings, that's an army, technically.
Yep. These queens are actually just by themselves. I think the Marines could have taken that fight as a Liberator being annoying as well in the main base. And the natural, that Viking that you pointed out is also still going crazy. Picking off Overlord after Overlord. I mean, obviously Bly did double expand this time, like we kind of thought he should have done on King's Cove. This Liberator 6.
So frustrating.
More medevacs. I mean, this forward base, by the way, this is a very, very important hatch. Losing the one on the left top side, that's painful.
Can we get a 7th Overlord?
That's something you can live with. You cannot afford to lose this forward base.
7 Overlords to this one Viking. Aye, aye, aye.
Is that a fourth Viking?
It's going to become greater than if it keeps this up. Dropping the main base here from Soul. I mean, this is not an inspiring drop. It's going to be able to clean up pretty nicely here for Bly. But he's been taking so much damage to his economy here from the Terran, who's just been all over his side of the map. And where Bly is his strongest is when he's being aggressive. And in this game, he just hasn't really been on Soul's side of the map since his early game Ling attacks.
Yep, and those didn't work out either, right? He was waiting,
really.
he was waiting, he was kind of playing the guessing game with himself. And he's like, I really hope that the Hellions are out of position now, but it turned out they were not. And then obviously he just wasn't able to deal with the Hellions on the other side of the map. I'm taking a glimpse. Seems like Hellraiser has put himself in a phenomenal position against U-Thermal the first game. That's actually somewhat surprising, right?
Yeah, I mean, U-Thermal's certainly someone who I would favor against most people in Europe.
Yep.
Not really matchup dependent. He's so strong at every single matchup at the higher level of the European ladder. But Hellraiser really putting in strong. You know, he's a massive fan of Kiev. So
Yeah, Kiev.
Kiev.
Yeah, Kiev.
Yeah. My life hack for being able to say this correctly is basically say I'm from Northern England and I'm trying to say Keith.
Kiev.
Keith.
You know, Hellraiser had a phenomenal showing at, phenomenal is maybe slightly exaggerated, but he had a great showing at the recent Home Story Cup. He started his group 0-2-0-4, and I'm like, you know, it's a very tough group. And then he just went, I don't know, super rampage. He won 5 best of 3s in a row. He beat the Korean Terran player Bunny. He beat Showtime. He's just beating everyone. Like, you don't often see a guy starting a massive round-robin group 0-2-0-4. And then just suddenly win 5 best of 3s in a row. And he actually advanced to the next phase of Home Story Cup as well. Took out Stefano the next day. So Hellraiser, like, I know he's been on the up and up for a little while, but then I think he also had a couple of disappointing showings. But it really seems like he's finding his rhythm and his stride again. And once again, if you guys want to take a look at that is over on Wardy TV. The score is 0-0 between those two lovely nerds, but it definitely seems like Hellraiser. I mean, when I see Protoss players get Shadow Strike, also known as Blink DT, I feel like they're often in a pretty good position, Maynard.
Yeah, that means they have money to burn.
Yeah, besides Fair Dragon, he gets it every game. But if you're not Fair Dragon, normally it's a luxury upgrade.
I feel like when the Protoss is at that point and they're getting Shadow Stride, they're basically like lighting a cigar with a $100 bill. Yeah, that's how I feel when it's almost a bad mana upgrade.
It really is.
Almost.
It's like, oh, you're trying to take that fort? Well, I've got 7 bases. Well, look at my 7 Blink DTs. And people are like, wow, they're really good. And they go, yeah, they are. It's because I'm rich, baby. That's why they're good.
If I lose them, it actually doesn't affect me negatively at all.
You know, I must say that actually the last night before I came here, I was like, let's play a couple of meme builds. And I was like, okay. I was thinking back of Nightmare, the Korean Protoss. I was like, okay, some like weird Zealot Blink DT all in. I was like, let's give it a go. And the very first Terran that I played against, he did not like it. I'm not going to repeat what he said to me, Maynard, but
probably for the best.
Let's just say that he wasn't happy to lose against a Zealot Blink DT all in. I was like, you know what? I can see potential here. It's like the funniest thing in the world is like when your Blink DTs walk in and then you see like the mule come down from the sky and you're like, yes, no scans for you, baby. It's amazing.
Feels like when you're forced to basically switch over to get a Raven, it never feels good. No. When you have no intention to get it, but you're like, well, this guy's Blink DTing me, so now I have to get it.
Yeah, no
feels bad, man.
No Terran wants to go there. As soon as we have any updates about what is happening with Bly, we'll of course let you guys know. We're still in the middle of that opening match. This is the opening match of Group Stage 2. I mean, all the groups are already done, by the way. No, I don't think any group is done, but there are certain groups that are already, I think, in the lower bracket match. We'll take a look at some of these results. These are new results for me as well, so I'm very, very excited to see what we have missed. So Clem took apparently a best of 3 over Ziggy. DNS and sort of won their opening matches. Yeah, I told you guys a little bit about that. Wow, look at the results in Group C. What? The 2 Swedish Zergs on top, Manny.
Sweden. Yeah, Harstam and Nurcho. I mean, Nurcho has been having a bit of a rough 2019 so far. Obviously, starting off things strong in Group Stage 1. So it's not a surprise to see him in 3rd place, but Harstam actually having a bit of a rough time at the moment. Goblin, 1-0, your boy. Shadone and Savano are no slouch.
No.
It's cool to see Showtime getting a win there as well.
That Group E is actually very tough. Oh, I'm a little bit surprised about what's happening in Group F, because Snoot, Okay, I guess maybe Snook lost the series to Drogo or something. That could be possible.
You mentioned Hellraiser and Uthermal and Group G is happening on Wardy TV. They're mid-series at the moment.
Yep, Hellraiser up 1-0 at the moment over Uthermal. Marine Lord and Chem are winning Group H. Must say I'm a little bit surprised Group D as well. Risky at the bottom of the group. I mean, Risky is capable of putting up some good showings.
My favorite New Zealand Zerg since Betrayus.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, Betrayus is a legend. But yeah, Group C, Sweden. I think that's what stands out the most right now, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's also kind of nice to see Mana doing well in his group. You know, Mana's been a little bit frustrated with his performances in a couple of the last WCSs, feeling like he can do a lot better. He's a previous finalist of WCS.
Austin last year. Yeah, I think he also won his first group stage 2-0, so Mana absolutely looking very good so far. I am curious to see what happens between Goblin and Showtime. I obviously think Showtime is the favorite there, don't get me wrong, but you know, that's the kind of PvP that does bring a smile to my face. It's good to see Drogo playing well so far. I think a lot of people expect quite a bit of Drogo this tournament. I think he's one of the dangerous outsiders. Don't forget that he really pushed Serral to the limit in WCS Challenger.
He absolutely did. Drogo's actually, I feel like, leveled up. He's a whole new man in 2019. A lot stronger than he's looked in 2018 and previous years. Very, very strong Protoss. So it's cool to see him on the rise again. Another great French player. So many greats. Another, you know, of course, DNS is here as well. The great French Protoss.
I mean, DNS is here, Shadon is here, Stefano is here, Denver is here this time as well. Clem, of course, is part of this group that we're casting at the moment. So I think all the good French players are here. Even Hino came. I mean, Hino is maybe not as known as the other guys, but he's also a pretty damn strong Zergi from France. So it's really cool to see literally all of them making it out.
Yeah.
Can't really think of anybody that's missing, but maybe I'm forgetting one obvious player. But I don't think I am. Thinking of underdogs right now. Who's won an underdogs? I mean,
if you can't name them, Roddy, then no one else can.
Yeah.
You got so much. You got that deep.
There's
European
actually a lot of very good like French players. Because obviously, like even like a Yogo, and then there is Shino, and I'm like, are Shino and Hino brothers? They're like, no. I was like, but they're both French. One is called Hino, the other one is Shino. They both play Zerg. I'm like, yeah, but they're not related at all. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. why did two guys from the same country end up with the exact same nickname, but somehow they're not related? How disappointing.
Yeah, there's another guy on Australian ladder called Nainadam.
What?
Naynard, his name is with an N.
Really?
Yeah, no.
Okay, could be.
No.
I don't know. I mean, I don't play that much on your ladder, mate. I guess I played a little bit.
Well, if you play on North America, you'd hit
I know.
Australian ladder there. No?
I mean, but maybe they still have like their little hidden corner where they're like only Australia preferred server, diamond against diamond.
You mean you play Pig? He picks the Australian server.
Piggy? To be honest, the last 5 times I played against Pig, it was all NA.
You got lucky.
Yeah, it was a lot more enjoyable. Alright guys, we are back in game 2 between Soul and Bly. Thank you guys for staying with us. We do apologize for the delay. It seems like Soul's kind of angry about this delay, and he's like, bam! 7 drones.
Yeah, the medevac getting quite low here. It doesn't look like any queen coverage down at his base.
Now look at that main army on the main map as well, Maynard. That army is heading towards this sport base. We went over this already. This base is incredibly important for Bly. Bly's kind of getting slowed over here, Maynard.
Yeah, he's having a very rough time. His monitor's been fixed, but unfortunately this game hasn't been. He is in so much trouble. That 4th hatchery is dead. He's down to 3 bases against a fully saturated 3-base Terran. 71 drones for him, but he's oversaturated, man. He just doesn't have that income that he wants at this point.
I am actually kind of happy to see this for Soul, though. It's, of course, disappointing for Bly, because he is the Ukrainian. We'd love to see a couple of Ukrainians do well here. Maybe the Banelings can connect with these Marines. I mean, they do to some degree, but that's not enough. Bly needs a lot more. Maybe if he can get underneath these medevacs, but that's a lot of additional Marines. Banelings went in the wrong direction as well, though.
So 8 Banelings connect with that tank there, but it looks like enough Zerg, but it's still going to push this defensive line back. There's counterattack from Bly, keeping the dream alive. Still so many units still available for Soul, and he's still doing damage on this side of the map as well. Yeah, it's almost like Bly's just all in here.
Bly's basically a 2-base Zerg at this point. These Banelings, well, get a couple of SCVs here and there, but he really needs to clean this up. This hatchery is starting to run quite low on HP, actually. Finally, a couple Zerglings do show up, but I think it's safe to say that this was not enough for the counterattack of Bly. He still doesn't have a 4th base up and running, Maynard. It's 10 minutes into the game, and we are looking at a 3-base Zerg. That's never good news.
Terrans at his 2-2 on the way here. Bly just +2 attack, and he's able to squeeze out that Carapace. That's, you know what? I'm worried. These Queens on that front line. Not that many Banelings in this army for Bly. Plenty of Lings.
Yeah, during all of this, Drilling Claws is finishing up as well. I mean, Bly's trying to do whatever he can. He does have a lot of Zerglings. Maybe he can scare this army back, and maybe he can drag this game out a little bit longer, but it's safe to say that Bly needs a victory, and he doesn't need a minor one, guys. He needs a massive one. He needs to basically demolish an army without really losing too much. or potentially kill 25, 30 SCVs on the other side of the map, maybe then we're looking at an even scenario right now. But the way that it currently stands, Soul is just running away with this game. This
position is so tough for Zerg to dig into as well. Luckily, he does catch that tank before it becomes a problem, but now there is a choke point of Bio with mines as well. The mines connect there with the Lings. There's still one available. It does actually hit a lot of the Bio as well as the Lings, so not the greatest connection on those Widow mines. It means that Bly is actually going to take an all-right fight here.
It was alright, but in the end he wasn't able to pick off the majority of the Marines, right? There is a big drop heading towards the main base as well. That's 16 Marines. This is actually going to be really quite painful. We're getting a little bit of picture-in-picture of the same shot. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, there we go. All right, so the picture-in-picture now splitting up. We're seeing action in two places of the map here as we got those mines recharged and ready to fire again. Soul sending a reinforcement of Bio down here in this choke point. Really, really abusable spot here for Terran, especially with tanks.
I think he picked off the spawning pool, by the way, Maynard. That's massive.
Oh, wow.
That's pretty much the only thing that he was able to make, right? I mean, we do still have a Baning Nest, and we got that Spire, but rebuilding the spawning pool 12 minutes into the game is never a good sign. I love the way that Soul played his man. He was super passive in game 1, ultra aggressive here in game 2. He's like, no fort base for you, my friend. And we all know that as a Zerg player, you need desperately a fort. You need a fifth if you want to play Ling, Bane, Muda. It needs to be the other way around, but Soul's like, nope, we're playing my game, you're following my moves.
Yeah, this isn't engageable anymore for Bly. Like, he's got some links coming in, the burrow and unburrow on these mines for Soul, making sure that they're ready. There's just too much Terran here, Roddy. This isn't engageable. He can't actually attack this from any angle. Soul set it up way too well.
I hear Todd from upstairs. Guys, look at it, look at it. We're looking at this supply, Todd, and it is an overwhelming advantage here for Soul. 180 supply pushing down this ramp. He's working on this hatchery as well. Bly, we know that he likes to fight till the last link, till the last Baneling. But I think he also knows that the writing is on the wall for this one. He's going to get ready for a match against Ziggy. Well, the winner of this series, which is going to be Soul, guys. Yeah, spoiler alert, is going to go up against Clem. And that's going to be one hell of PvP. And I'm really curious to see who wins that one.
Yeah, it's actually quite hard to call. The reinforcements from Soul here, just tying a bow on this one. This is all done and dusted. We've got those Banelings rolling in. They're going to get a good cluster of Marines here if they're lucky, and they do get some there to the north, but the Widowmine burrow, they get rid of what's left of the Zerg, and Soul is going to go for an A-click into that natural with what remains here of this army. He's still just rallying across the map, and as Bly loses more and more hatcheries, he's going to lose more and more steam here.
Yep, the Banelings are going to try to connect with the Marines for the last time, and actually the last two fights, it really wasn't that bad for Bly. The problem is, guys, this is not a fair fight anymore. Soul's economy is insane. Bly's economy has been in shambles for the last few minutes, and also his production has been in shambles. I mean, he even lost the spawning pool. He's sort of pushing his army back one more time, but the reinforcements have arrived, and I don't know if you have any Banelings left, but the moment that Bly's out of Banelings, he's obviously out of hope of winning this game. You saw that one little Bane. This is the one Bane rolling, and there's like one very hurt Bane morphing right next to the hatchery. He's like, can we do it, guys? I don't think it's going to be able to.
Bly's down to 2 bases now. Terran just continuing his stranglehold here on the Zerg. Up 2 bases. There's the GG from Bly. And Soul is going to tie up that map score, or actually take the advantage of the map score, as Bly was 102 to 101. Now he's 102 to 103.
Yes, that is correct. So in the head-to-head, Soul now actually having the lead. Still down a series, though.
He is still down a series.
Historically, between these two, still 36 against 35. But Soul wins it here in Ukraine. A very big one for him, obviously. And also, hopefully, one that really makes him feel like, hey, maybe I can play as well at tournaments as I can play at home. Because that was a very good showing by Soul. Game 1, maybe the first 10 minutes, he looked a little off. He looked a little lost. He looked